He's from North Carolina. He caught the largest largemouth bass in National Professional Fishing League history with a 10.9 stud at Lake Amistad. We are joined this week by Jesse Wise on the OneCast.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's going to be a bad day.
What's going on, folks? Welcome back to the OneCast. We are joined with a great friend here, Jesse Wise. We'll bring him on here in just in a second. But before we do that, Ben, shoot it over to you. You want to give him that little jargon about the OneCast Fishing?
Yeah, make sure you go over to OneCastFishing.com. Join the snagless revolution. Get those snagless jigs. They work. Caught a 6-pounder on one today with the snagless swim jig. Got the long neck hooks, soft plastics. Use the code TheOneCast. Save a little bit of money when you go over there.
You want me to talk to people? You want me to talk about Carolina Waters?
Carolina Waters. What's on your face? What's on your head?
Carolina Waters. Carolina Waters hat. I got a Carolina Waters shirt. I'm all Carolina Waters out today, and you guys can as well. Get your performance wear, casual t-shirts, hats, all of that good stuff. Head to CarolinaWatersNC.com. Use the code TheOneCast. Check out all one word. Save you 20% off your order. I also want to talk real quick about Hobie Eyewear. I know Trey's about to hold a pair up. We've been talking about them, the floating frames. The Sightmaster lenses are absolutely game changing.
Yes, they are.
So today we were out fishing. They're starting to move up onto beds. And it was cloudy, really no sun. And I was able to see and bed fish like the sun was shining with those Sightmaster lenses. They do a great job of picking up all that ambient light, still cutting down the glare, letting you see fish in those not ideal conditions, low light, cloudy, all that type of stuff. So make sure you check those out. The link is in the description. Use that link. Click on that. There is no code. You just got to click the link. It'll take you straight to Hobie's website, and you can save 15% off a pair of those glasses or two. And the floating frames, 100% work.
Oh, yeah.
Because we've shown you some videos where we've thrown them in the water. But this past weekend, we were practicing at Gaston.
No, we weren't.
Or that was during the tournament.
We were getting our brakes beat in by Jesse and his partner while we were running up a creek, and I accidentally flipped my glasses in the water, and Pete was able to throw that Vexus in reverse and take us right back to those floating frames. So they absolutely 100% work.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's cool to do a video on it, but for them to actually to have one of those oh crap moments, and then the glasses are just floating there, and you're able to go back and pick them up.
I will add one thing. I showed a pair to my neighbor. They were Sightmaster, and he was like, "Holy crap, these is like X-ray vision."
Yeah,
and I only told him like they were like $85 with their discount code.
That's right.
And he's like, "I'm gonna have to pick me some up." So, hey, they work. You can see amazing in the water.
Absolutely. And speaking of picking something up, so we talked about fishing tackle and apparel and eyewear. Let's head on over to owning your piece of paradise. So our good buddy Eric Schwind at Mossy Oak Properties, he's got your paradise for you. So he serves the Sandhills area. He's been doing it for years. He's also active duty military member, looking to get you guys that little slice of paradise. You guys can shoot him an email at eschwind@mossyoakproperties.com or shoot him a call or a text at 936-494-9686. Eric will get you hooked up, whether or not you're looking for that piece of land to build your nice home, or you're just looking for a piece of outdoor space where you can do some hunting and fishing, or you just want a peace of mind. Eric's got you covered. Like I said, shoot him an email at eschwind@mossyoakproperties.com. He'll get you squared away. Woo!
Yeah. Couple more last minute things. Take a Warrior Fishing Inc. If y'all listened to that episode when they were on May 18th, they have their Warrior Fishing event. They're still looking for, I believe, 7 boaters. So they have a waiting list for veterans, but they're still looking for 7 boaters. So if you're in the area and you're able to volunteer a day to get a veteran out on the water in a fun bass fishing tournament, that one is bass specific. No entry fees. I don't know if there's prizes, but it doesn't matter. That's not what it's about. It's about getting a veteran out there or active duty and potentially saving their life. We talked about it on the show before. Trey attributes a big part of him still being here today in outdoor therapy, and a big part of that's been bass fishing. So make sure you check them out if you're able to. A great organization. They've got a really good event going on. I think there was another event I want to talk about. I don't remember what it was.
The Special Operations Bass Anglers Tournament is Friday. It's the day before Veterans Day this year up at Lake Norman. So if you haven't registered for that event, go ahead and register. That's a great sponsored event. Usually Major League Fishing brings out one of their trailers. A lot of pros show up. A lot of national pros show up. And it's a great opportunity to go out there and fish for a great cause. Every single year it's dedicated to a fallen service member of the special operations community. It's the annual Mark McCowan tournament, who was a Green Beret that we lost several years ago. And then each year a new special operator is dedicated for the annual event.
So that's November 8th, Friday, November 8th at a Queen's Landing. It's $80 per boat, $20 for big fish, 2-man teams. It's a ton of fun. We all fished it last year. My dad came up and fished it with us. Mike Johns came up. He's talking about coming up again. And again, like Trey said, every year that money's raised go to a special operator's family. And this year it is to honor Warrant Officer 1 Sean Mullen of 5th Special Forces Group. So going to send hopefully a large chunk of change to his family to help them carry on his legacy and to use to make life a little bit easier without their loved one there who sacrificed everything for us. So if you're able to do that, make sure you check that one out. And yeah, I'm ready to get Jesse talking. So go ahead, Trey.
He's sitting right here.
Yeah.
He's got a bass in front of him. Jesse Wise, appreciate you coming all the way down here to Sanford, North Carolina, which you're right and done anyways, right?
Yeah, in Irwin. Not too far, about 45 minutes.
So appreciate you coming down here, jumping in the studio, man. And we just want the world to know who Jesse Wise is. Like, you're a local stick. Everybody knows who you are, but I don't think everybody knows everything about you, which they don't need to know everything about you, except for all the waypoints on your map card. We need you to leave that back when we're done. No, I'm just kidding. But dude, appreciate you joining us. And yeah, if you want to throw an intro out there for everyone listening and watching and stuff, like, let them know a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, my name's Jesse Wise. Started fishing the National Professional Fishing League. When was it? 2 years ago. So this is my 3rd season on tour. I've always fished local. Fished Fishers and Bend, the Piedmont Trail, Bass, Cash Collins. I fished a lot of things at the local level and decided to venture out a few years ago and fished ABA Solo Series.
Okay.
And, I was very fortunate enough to win the Gunnersville in the Solo Series. So that kind of jump-started my career for traveling. And then I got the opportunity to fish, 2 years ago with NPFL. And that's how it kind of got started, that win on Gunnersville. And, I've been semi-successful, cashing checks. So it just a country redneck from the sticks that loves fishing and loves traveling around and seeing different parts of the country, and truly blessed. Couldn't ask for nothing else.
Well, we already mentioned it in the intro that you set the record for the NPFL's largest bass weighed in, but it started way before that. It started way before winning on Gunnersville, and you kind of talked a little bit about it before the show started. But really, what got you into the outdoors as a young angler?
So I was probably in diapers fishing at 3 and 4 years old with my granddaddy, Donald Creech. I call him Pa. He means everything to me. He's had me out. He used to, he owned a country store there at McGee's Crossroads where I grew up. And his work schedule was, he had to work on Monday, Tuesday. But when he worked Monday, Tuesday, he would open the store up and he would be off like at 9:30. So on them days when I was out of school and it come 9:30, I already had the rods in the boat. We had a, 14-foot John boat. I think within 1 square mile where I grew up, there's 57 ponds.
Oh, wow.
So, these ain't just little water holes neither. There's a lot of nurseries around. So I had access to a lot of water being a young kid. I could drive my bike to and fish the bank everywhere, So granddaddy always had me on the water and, he's always showed me the ropes. And I can still remember the first actual true big one I caught a 7-pounder when I was 7 years old on a old timey 3-inch, Spook, the black, the black with the white stripes down the side.
Yes, sir.
It was a 7-pounder. I was 7 years old. I think I still got the picture at the house, but it's just incredible, growing up in the outdoors on the water with my granddaddy and my whole family fishes. My mom fishes, my stepdad, me and my brother fished a lot in the Fishers and Men there for several years. So I just been truly blessed in the fishing community and, fishing at a local level, made a ton of friends out there, shout out to everybody out there. It's incredible with the support that I get from the local level, from the fishermen, when I'm out on tour, comments, calls, texts, it means the world.
Absolutely. It is we talked about it several times, but like the community of anglers, and our motto is, growing a culture of anglers, helping anglers one cast at a time. But the community itself is enough to keep you there. You know, the tournament wins are great when they come by. Cash and check is great. We got to experience that a couple times this year with the Fishers and Men. It's our first year on Fishers and Men. It's a great trail, great filled with great people. But I think that's the most important thing for me, anyways. It's the camaraderie and the cohesion that comes along with the sport. And so now that you're in the sport, you came from camaraderie and cohesion, though,
Just
right?
Real quick before we go to, like, what got you started into tournament fishing? Did your granddaddy do that, or was that something that you kind of delved into yourself?
No, so actually, you know, granddaddy always fished local ponds and stuff, and me and him, we would go to Harris like twice a year and fish. That's back when Harris was really good.
Like Sharon Harris?
Yeah.
Oh, now it's Karen Harris.
Yeah.
When it was still
So back when it had grass in
grass
it,
all
and
over,
the bed and fish, dude. I would get my granddaddy to go to the lake like 2 times a year, like in March and April. And that's the only time he ever did any lake fishing. But far as tournament fishing, I think, you know, we had a real good friend he's fished his whole life, and he got into the Fishers of Men. And me and my stepfather was like, hey, man, let's jump into this, you know.
Yep.
So the first year we jumped into some Fishers of Men. You know, a lot of people at the local level, I mean, they just don't like that Friday night meeting. Well, that's what the Fishers of Men's all about.
Yep.
You know, sharing the word of God and, you know, having a meeting at a church, the camaraderie, fishing community. I mean, I enjoy that just as much as I do actually tournament fishing, because everybody there, on Saturday, you're all competing against one another.
Sure.
But, you know, on Friday night, man, it's all about the boys and hanging out, hearing the word of God,
Yes, sir.
eating a good meal. That's what I love about the Fishers of Men. So that's where I got my start, was Fishers of Men, probably, I don't know, 8-9 years ago. I fished a few Wednesday night tournaments when I was like 17, 18 on Sharon Harris, but actual tournament fishing was definitely where I got my start at Fishers of Men.
Yeah, I'll say it really is. And Fishers of Men, for anybody listening, is a national, you know, organization. They have chapters all over the country. Every pretty much every state, if it has bass, has a chapter. What he's talking about is every Friday night they have their pre-tournament meeting, if you want to call it that. But you get a meal, you get to sit down, you get to, you know, share fellowship. Somebody will share their story. Usually the preacher of the church that's donated their facility for you will come up and give a short message.
Yep.
There's door prize and stuff, but it really is great, and it's a great. Like Jesse was saying, it's a great organization to build that camaraderie, because most folks stay after weigh-in, whether they're going to get a check or not. Everybody's shaking each other's hands, super happy for whoever wins, doesn't win, whatever goes on. There's a lot of handshakes and high fives and congratulations, and you don't get that everywhere.
No, you don't.
We've talked about it before, you know.
And, you know, you said that it was a national trail, and it truly is, because if you have a regular season, like for our Central Division, we got 5 tournaments plus a championship this year.
Yep.
Well, if you do good and win the points, you're automatically qualified for the national championship. They have a national championship. They have regionals in the fall that you can go, and if you get a check, that qualifies you for the national championship. I've been very fortunate. I've made 3 national championships in the past 4 years with the Fishers of Men, and I'm telling you what, Al Odom with Fishers of Men down there, he does a phenomenal job. I mean, Bass Cat, I think, is one of their big supporters, and they give away 2 Bass Cats at the national event. And starting at a local level, you know, for something here in the Raleigh-Durham area, and getting to qualify to do that. Yeah, I mean, hey, it only takes 15 bites.
That's right.
You know, 15 bites, and you can have $80,000 Bass Cat.
And 6 tournaments.
Yep.
Yeah.
5 regular season and a championship.
Now, they just had their national championship down at the Harris Lakes like a few weeks ago, and there was 180 boats.
Yep.
Over a 3-day period, I want to say, and they whacked them. They absolutely whacked them. We had some buddies out there pre-fishing for the Toyota series, and they said, man, these guys are out here hammering these fish. And I was like, yeah, I mean, like, you really get to see the true talent. I mean, a lot of these regional trails, but like with Fishers of Men, like you see some true talent that comes out of those, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you cut your teeth doing that. And so it's a great place. And that's actually where we got to meet you face to face, was at the Fishers of Men. So it just builds that network, builds that cohesion, that community, that what we're looking for. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, man. So you moved on. You talked about it earlier before the show. You didn't always fish full time, did you?
No. Actually, whenever I got out of college, I went to college and played baseball. So I was very fortunate in that aspect. I got to see a lot of the country, getting to travel around with a pretty good ball club.
Where'd you go to school?
I went 2 years at Lewisburg College, which was a junior college, and then I transferred up to Montreat College in the mountains of North Carolina. And we had a club, man. We were pretty good, and I was very fortunate, and I had a couple good seasons and this and that, and I actually thought I was going to get drafted. The Seattle Mariners actually was talking to me at Pro Scout Workout Day. Well, my first senior year, I actually redshirted, so I didn't know I was going to get an extra year to play, but I did. So my last year Pro Scout Workout, I rounded first base, snapped my ankle. That kind of hurt, and so I was out for the entire fall. But that year, I mean, I ended up playing that spring and had a really good spring and thought I was going to get drafted. And then I got engaged to my wife and decided to go another route, and look back on it, you're like, man, maybe I should have went just to try it in the Wood Bat League. They want to put me in Kansas in the Wood Bat League. And I was like, I love my wife. I'm get a family started. At this point, I was, 22 years old, and which sounds crazy, but I was ready to get started, and start working. And I, right out of college, I was working with my brother. He had his own business in construction, handyman, and we pretty much learned how to do everything. We painted houses, done trim work, build decks, tile work, done it all. And my dad, being a general contractor, had a bunch of work, for us. So whenever, I think, when was it when the economy went to bust?
08.
So when the economy went to bust, we struggled there for a couple of years with, keeping work and this and that. And in 2011, I decided, you know what? I'm going to serve my community. I'm going to be a police officer. So I went through BLET, had the support, went through BLET, become a police officer, worked for the city of Dunn, for, I think it was 3.5 years. In 2016, I decided, I was going to go back to work for myself. And then up until 21, I think, the year after COVID, I was like, you know what? After that solo series year and I won that tournament on Gunnerville, I said, I'm going to give this travel and fishing a try. So that's how it all kind of got started.
Yeah.
It's really funny though, like the correlation between folks that have played other sports at a high level and it translates over to fishing. If you look at how many folks were college baseball players and had an injury or something that kind of shifted. Destin, who's been on the show several times, the Marion Fish Elite Series, college ball player, got hurt, kind of shifted his focus. You look at the Shryock brothers, they were professional motocross racers, right? Both had injuries, kind of took away from their ability to compete, shifted focus.
Go all the way back. Shaw Grigsby.
If you watch the show, he was a
race car driver?
motorcycle racer. Race motorcycles. And then, kind of, so it's interesting to me how many folks have that background. I think it's just the competitiveness, right? Like,
absolutely.
That want to compete and that competitive spirit's built into us. And once you physically, whether it's through injury, whatever it is, can't perform that sport, if you enjoy the outdoors and like to fish, it's kind of a natural slide into that to still feed that competitive fever and be able to fish competitively. So your third year with the league, so you came in the year after their first season.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. How has that been? Describe your experience. We've had Paul and Brad, the ownership on. We've had a lot of anglers. So how give us your take on the league as a tour and the camaraderie and kind of how they run that.
I might be biased because I'm fishing it, but I'm telling you what, folks, the NPFL is the real deal. The ownership, Brad, Paul, Big Al, Michelle, and I'm telling you, they are the real deal. You can't even fathom at the logistics they put together at these tournaments to help the anglers just go so smoothly. I mean, it's truly phenomenal. When we were at Watts, this is a prime example. We were at Watts Bar. This was last year, early in the year. New boat ramp. I forget the name of the city it was in, but a new boat ramp. They didn't even hardly have a dock there. Brad and Paul was like, what are we going to do? Dude, overnight they come up with a plan, and I'm telling you, it went flawlessly. Getting 119 people in the water. I mean, it was unreal. They would back us in. They would park our trucks. They kept our keys on the board. We would go out fishing. We'd come back, check in. Somebody'd have our trucks back then when we checked in. I mean, it was truly phenomenal because they really won't know where to
with
park.
like 8 people
I'm telling
or
you,
less.
it is.
Yeah.
That's the military coming out right there.
That's Brad.
I'm telling you, they are to the point every single time.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the league itself, you know, all the anglers are super phenomenal. I mean, I hadn't had, you know, no run-ins with anybody. I mean, it's just a really good family, friends run league, you know. And I mean, it truly is about the anglers. And I tell you, there's no way I could run a trail as good as they do and not expect anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I've had a phenomenal experience.
You know, we've heard that from a lot of the anglers that were on, and I know Trey got to experience it down at Santee before Pete and I, but when we went down there for the Lanier tournament, like it was awesome how it was set up.
Were y'all at the Lanier tournament?
Yeah, we
Really?
came down there day 2 and 3. I don't think we were there for all 3 days.
Yeah, no, we didn't make day 1.
Yeah, because Pete went out with Hunter, and you Trey went out with
Stephanie
on day 3.
Chelsea went out with Brad Stanley.
Yep, on Brad and but it was just phenomenal. One, they would let us do that. 2, just the logistically, you know, going through, and then also it worked out great because of the Halloween thing, and everyone got to come over and see how great bass fishing is and the phenomenal the trailer weigh-in they have. So, you know, I heard it all the time, but actually getting to see it firsthand, like it's true. What you're saying is true about the NPFL.
I'm serious. If y'all could, you think Lanier was good? If you could have seen that Watts Bar event and what they pulled off on that facility, dude, it was truly. I mean, it was eye-opening. It was incredible. I mean, and that's every tournament.
Yeah, I was gonna say for me, you know, you made a big point there. That's about the anglers, and 100%. If you talk to Brad, if you talk to Paul, if you talk to any of the ownership group, big anybody that's involved. That's truly what they care about. They don't care if 100 fans show up or 10 fans. Obviously, they want more fans to show up, but they want the anglers to have a good experience. They want to be able to pay their anglers a fair, you know, have a chance to win some money. That's what we're doing it for, right? And they care like that. I've been critical of BPT, and every single time I've made it clear, it's not that I don't like BPT or what they're trying to do. I can't stand that the impression is they don't care about their anglers.
Sure.
I've been critical of the Elite Series in bass when it looks like that they're not looking out for what's best for the anglers. I understand it's a business, right? NPFL is a business. All of these leagues, they have to have money to be able to do what they're doing. When you go, I'm telling you, look for an NPFL event near you. Look at the crew they run that with, like 8 people, like Trey said. To have that trailer set up, to do a drive-through weigh-in, to have it smooth, to have all the people there, and then selling their gear and being able to get out and talk to the fans and all the anglers hanging around, like it's truly an amazing experience. So if you have an opportunity to go check them out, but I want to segue before we go more into the league about the championship. You got to be there for the first one. You know, we've had Brad and Paul talk about the excitement leading up to that because of the issues the first season and having to cancel it, and then kind of this build up to finally having that culminating event in the championship. So how was that?
Man, I tell you what, dude, Del Rio and Amistad, they showed out. And I'm telling you, it's never know what to expect. You know, you hear all these things about, man, you're right there at the border. The cartel could be, you know, be careful out there on the water. And I didn't have no bad experience. Like, I did have one boat. During practice, one boat kept coming at me, and I was like, man, this rascal right here keeps on coming. I'm about to make a Yui, you know. And I'm in the back of this cut, like on the Mexican side, and it is like deep in the cut. I was like, oh man, I got to get out of here. They got like 100 yards, and the whole time I pulled out, and I'm pretty sure it was a netting boat. But I tell you, it was a super phenomenal experience being down there in Del Rio, Texas, you know, for the first championship, being one of 26. It's supposed to have been one of 25, but we had a tie. I think Richard Cooper and I forget who else. They tied there on the 25th and 26th spot, so they let, you know, 26 come in.
And somebody had a baby, right? So they couldn't make it.
Yes, Ryan Satterfield.
Ryan Satterfield.
Shout out Ryan Satterfield.
Right.
You know, him and his wife, they had, you know, a baby, and everything was great and come out healthy. And
I'm going to let you keep going, but I want to say what's really cool is they kept Ryan on the score sheet. Everybody got paid that fished the championship, so he still got a check, even though he couldn't be there. They still took care of their guy at home, taking care of family, having his baby. Still got his check for qualifying and should have been there, but obviously family is the most important thing.
Absolutely, family is the most important thing. It is.
So yeah, you had the what they call the dinner, the banquet.
Yeah, so
They
I was
had a
gonna ask,
name.
like, like leading up to like tournament day, we definitely or tournament days. We want to get into that, but leading up to the tournament, like what were some of the events and stuff that were hosted for you guys?
So we had a dinner on the last day of practice on Tuesday night. We had to be off the water. I can't remember if it was 3 or 3:30 or something like that. And then everybody went home. Yeah, I was rooming with Patrick Walters, Mike Corbersley, Todd Goad, and Trent Palmer. So we all met back at the house. We all got changed and put on our polos and everything. They said it won a black tie affair, so we all just dressed up country boy style, you know.
That's right.
Except Patrick, he showed up in a cowboy hat and Stetson.
He showed up in a cowboy hat.
Yeah,
Was he in shorts?
Him and his dad. No, he had our slacks on. So, but him and his dad went and bought a Stetson, so that was pretty cool.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
But you know, that dinner, man, when we walked in the door and we were just hanging around talking with everybody, and it was fed us prime. You could have a choice of prime rib or chicken, and I don't know who wouldn't order the prime rib, you know, but there was a few people, I won't say no names, that got
you can tell us offline. Yeah,
we need
Brad.
but
It was
yeah, I mean, it was
it was for profiling purposes.
That's right.
but it was a good event, man. That night we had a blast. You know, Todd Goad gave Angler of the Year speech, you know, which was really good. And you know, we got a bunch of well, you could say free stuff. They give us a big dry bag to keep in the boat. We got a pair of sunglasses, hat, shirts. I mean, dude, what they did, I mean, it was an awesome experience for the first one. And I'm telling you, I want to qualify every year.
Yeah.
Because once you get there, it's like, it's a different atmosphere, you know, and it all goes into practice. When you're fishing for $100,000 with 26 people, dude, tell me a better chance at winning $100,000.
I know.
Yeah, I was
mean,
wondering how that pressure felt, because a 1 in 26 chance that's a lot of pressure. Like, there's always pressure when that kind of money's on the line.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about fishing against 150 people versus 26, like that's a whole different ballgame.
Yes, it is. I mean, and the years following, now that we got, you know, almost a full field, it will be the top 40 anglers.
Yep.
So, I mean, but still, 1 in 40 chance.
Yeah.
That's
So
like you don't.
it's
That's like
great.
that's less than a tournament.
Yeah, it's like a
here.
Wednesday night or Thursday night jackpot.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You just got to be consistent 3 days.
So let me ask one question on that. You hear a lot of guys, you know, talk about like the classic. We'll use that as an example. Everybody knows they're going to get a check. Points don't matter. Everybody's going and just swinging for the fences, doing what they're comfortable doing, trying to be that one. In your case, it's your 26, or for the classic 1 in 55, roughly, depending on, you know, how double qualifier and stuff. Was that your same mentality going into it? Like, just go swing for the fences?
Yeah, absolutely. It was. I mean, there won't no going really and throwing. It's kind of cliche to say because I caught that 10-9 on a shaky head.
You know, he's from North Carolina.
Boy.
You know he's from North Carolina.
Hey, I know it sounds cliche, but you didn't go there to get a 10-pound limit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I fish with big baits a lot. You know, I was throwing the glide, I threw the mag draft, you know, caught a few fish on different things, you know, top water action. You go to get big bites, you know, and it really did come in practice form. It's like, okay, I could throw a Cinco and get bit, but how many big fish are you going to, you know, catch doing it? So it's like, you definitely want the fish with the bigger bites, try to get the bigger bites. And shout out goes to Brandon Perkins. I mean, he absolutely put on a clinic.
Yeah.
You know,
He had something special going.
I mean, he had it dialed in, you know. I mean, I was fishing the same bait as he was.
Yeah.
You know, I only got 2 of them bites though.
Yeah.
With, you know, with that bait. So it was just, I say unfortunate, not really. It just won't time.
When it's time.
It won't my time.
When it's time, it's time.
When it's
It
your
was
time.
your time to set the record with a 10.9 pound largemouth.
Yeah, man, that was truly phenomenal having a camera
On a shaky head.
On a shaky head.
On a jig head worm.
So
not a jig head minnow.
That's right.
All right, we'll keep it at that.
Okay, so here's something funny. You know, going into our event practice, I'm like, man, I don't want to fish scoping. I do not want to scope all day for 3 days.
Which,
But
not to cut you off, but was it weird fishing that body of water, because it's like 65 foot low or something, isn't it?
oh man, you can't even fathom the bank everywhere you look. I mean, it's just like sage bushes and rock.
Yeah.
That's it. You know, you don't see no houses from the lake when you're there. It's all canyons. and
I totally
it's pretty
expected
cool.
like camels to be cresting the horizon.
I seen, let's see, there was several different areas that had a ton of goats, billy goats, and then there was areas that had like the wild goats, like bighorn.
Yeah.
I mean, I seen one that I'd love to have on the wall.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
You didn't carry your 270 with you?
No, the 270 stayed back in North Carolina. But I'm telling you, it would have been tempting if I'd have had that 5.56 or 270 in the boat.
Yes.
Because it was a mounder, I'm telling you. But I seen cows, I seen horses. I mean, it was pretty incredible the way the lay of the land, it being 67 foot low. And then the whole time you're like,
and you didn't want to scope, you were saying, right? Like,
so I went in practice after the first 2 Elite Series. Obviously
it was in everybody's head.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, dude, I'm about to spend all day and see if this is a scoping lake. And I did, and I caught 2, and they were like dinks. I was like, maybe this ain't a scoping lake. So the next, we mixed it in each day of the tournament, and it truly was not either the right time of the year or a scoping lake.
Perfect.
I mean, it did not. So I mean, it was right up our alley, beat the bank, junk fishing 101 with big baits.
Yeah.
So I was chomping at the bit. That last day of practice, I had a really, really good practice, and I couldn't even sleep. I was so excited.
I mean, were you so excited that you didn't tell Trent, Patrick, and Mike about
No,
anything?
they knew. They thought I was holding out on them. They seen my Snapchat, and I had 3 big ones on Snapchat. 2 of them big ones I literally tried to shake off, and they would not shake it off. I could not shake it off. I'm like, what do you do?
Yep.
I ended up
catch them.
Yeah, unfortunately, I did during practice, and I ended up getting. I'm pretty sure I caught one of them 4.5 pounders again.
I was just gonna say,
it was literally on the same bush, same flip, same bait.
We talk about this all the time, like shaking fish off, right? Like, and we do, and we're practicing. You try to shake them off. You always want to set the hook on a couple just to see quality. But Kerr is a prime example. Our first fisherman train I were practicing. I catch a 4.5 pounder the day before the tournament we're practicing. I'm like, gosh, dang, I'm all mad.
Yeah.
As soon as I hit the hook, I was like, this is a giant. I'm all mad at myself. Trey caught that same fish the next day in the tournament. It still had the hook mark in the top of his mouth for my spinnerbait. I put it on the scale. It weighed the same, and I opened up his mouth. I was like, Trey, you're not going to believe this. This is the exact same fish.
You already know the spinnerbait. We won't say it, but it definitely bit it.
Yeah.
100%.
Nice.
100%.
Sweet.
So, yeah, you probably did catch the same fish. I think sometimes we get in our own heads about that stuff.
If y'all know Mike Horsley, I've traveled him now for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I traveled him with the solo series that year when we first started. We done the 3 tournaments with the solo series. So I've, got pretty close with Mike, and he was always talking about shaking off. I'm like, dude, I didn't drive 8 hours to shake fish off. I'm about to see what's biting.
That's right.
Because I'm telling you, these bass, they will bite again.
100%.
They will. I mean,
99%.
It's their mentality. You put a creature bait in front of them, or it's a reaction.
Yeah.
You run a chatterbug by them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're gonna bite again.
Yeah.
It's their natural habitat. They got to eat.
Just look how many times you can catch the same fish off a bed sometimes.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier.
We've all been there.
Smallmouth fishing. I mean, it's pretty.
And they're gonna eat.
Full disclosure, Pete's dad's sitting over there in the corner, and we definitely talked about catching the same smallmouth like 5 times.
It's not just smallmouth, because a couple years ago I had a largemouth bedding right outside my off my yard, and he was there for like 2 weeks, and I caught him about a dozen times.
Yeah.
Every evening, go down there.
You became his best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ben just feeds him by hand now.
After a couple of times, he got more difficult. He got smart, but you can get him to bite. So
I want to rewind a little bit. You grew up in North Carolina. You still live here. Talk about how the regional or the local fishing in North Carolina, how has that helped you? Do you believe the skills that you developed in North Carolina have translated to your national fishing career with the NPFL?
Yeah, I think so, because, if you look at the average of our lakes here in North Carolina, that is within 3.5 hours driving distance. You got Lake Norman spotted bass. Now you got Gaston spotted bass, Coral Lake, big spotted bass. Coral Lake, such a diverse fishery, Falls Lake, Jordan Lake. I mean, if you like fishing the mud and fishing shallow, I mean, right here in our backyard.
Yeah.
Sheridan Harris, back in the day had grass in it. So, I mean, I grew up fishing grass. The only thing I didn't really grow up fishing that much was docks.
Yep.
And I do love fishing docks.
Yeah.
So when we go to Gaston, I love skipping a jig under docks way
Baden and
far
Tillery.
back. Honestly, I've never been on Baden and Tillery, but
No,
I know
you never?
I've never been on them 2 lakes.
I still don't want to fish against you on those lakes, but I'm telling you, like, they're great lakes.
Yeah, I mean that's what I've heard. I've heard you can go to Tillery in the summertime and actually smoke them on a crankbait.
Yes, son.
Yes, you can.
and
a buzzbait.
topwater.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, they'll school on.
Sorry, Mikey.
Sorry, Mikey.
you know, I think North Carolina's such a diverse fishery. We got the river system down east. You got the Roanoke, the Chowan, the Alligator, Clemens. MLS about to
They're gonna blow that up. Yeah.
the secret's gonna be out in the bag here in a couple months.
Yeah, good luck keeping
But-
your lower unit, folks.
Yeah, I mean, North Carolina is, I would say, hands down, one of the best states in the country, minus Texas and Alabama. I would think.
So
You
do
can
people?
grow
So
fishing.
do people really? Because I hear it all the time. I love a shaky head, like, and I grow to love it when I caught an 814 on Jordan Lake one time, and I was like, I can't put this down.
Yeah.
Right. And ever since it's been in my arsenal, you know, I grew up in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Shaky head wasn't a thing. It was like drop shots and turds and,
Yep.
you know, spinning rods and monofilament and stuff like that, you know, but ever since I've been down here, it's like, man, like it just fishes so differently, but you can do so many different things to catch largemouth. Spotted bass, of course, they'll eat anything. I don't know where I was going with this conversation.
When
but-
you were talking about shaky head,
yeah, but I mean, like, so shaky heads, a lot of people talk trash on the shaky head around the country, like especially the West Coast guys and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So do you get that while you're on the trail, like shaky head, like you should throw that jig head worm, like it's gonna
You know, my whole aspect since I joined the NPFL has changed when it comes to fishing.
yeah.
And let me rewind and take it back to probably 6 or 7 years
I
ago.
wish I had a sound effect for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 6 or 7 years ago, I fished a Piedmont trail with a local guy named Terry Hobbs.
Uh-huh.
Terry Hobbs is, you know, I think he's 62 or 3 now. So he's not that old, but, you know, he's not no spring chicken no more.
Sure.
Well, he sits down in the seat in the back of the boat and he's going to drag what we call the Terry rig around, you know, and that's a split shot with a finesse trick worm on it.
A split shot.
Split shot. And I'm telling you,
What's
he
that?
drags it so slow.
the Mojo rig.
Mojo rig.
He
Yeah.
he slowed me down big time. And I've always been a power fisherman, chunking and whining. Now that I've joined, you know, the tour and travel around, everybody wants to win, but getting the checks, that's where it's at. I mean, you got to make money while you're out on the road because
Sure.
you know your entry fees, you know, gas, room and board. I mean, it costs a lot to do it. So getting a check, Terry slowed me down enough where I really don't mind throwing that deep creek lure sinking catch.
Mm,
And that's made a lot of money for me over the last, you know, 2 seasons.
yeah.
I mean, just a Cinco bait, throwing around wacky style. I mean, the fish, I don't care where you're at in the country, fish is going to eat it.
Oh yeah.
100%.
You know what I mean? And the shaky head's another thing. When I'm fishing that, you know, the Fisher's Men here on Jordan Falls Lake, if I'm throwing a shaky head, I ain't got a fish in the boat. I've got to get a fish in the boat. And the shaky head will do it.
Okay.
You know. There on Lake Amistad, had a 3/8 ounce shaky head, and I put a deep creek lure 6.5 inch trick worm on it and threw it out there across that point and a 10-9 ate it. So big fish do eat it. You know what I mean? I mean, it was just one of them deals. They will, a big fish will bite it, but it is a fish catching bait. There's no doubt about it.
100%.
And you caught that 814, right?
Yeah.
And I've caught probably 2 or 3 sevens on the shaky head.
Oh yeah.
I got tired when I started fishing my club years ago. I got tired of the old guys kicking my butt, you know, every other tournament, like on Jordan Falls and these lakes. And where are you fishing? Shaky head, shaky head,
Yeah.
shaky head. That's all they fished all the time.
Shaky head, Carolina rig.
Yeah,
If they're not biting a jig, they're biting one of those other 2 baits, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
They're just biting them.
I've probably donated more money to dudes throwing wacky rigs than anything.
Oh yeah.
So
Todd Parker has
let me-
just cleaned my wallet out with a dang wacky rig.
let me ask you a question. When in y'all's previous history with a shaky head, how is your hookup ratio with a shaky head?
Fantastic. Now it's fantastic. But I mean,
How
but
about
you
you,
gotta
Pete?
Not great. I probably don't let him eat it enough. I don't know.
Yeah,
Well,
mine's there'll be days that I don't know what's going on, but I would probably say like 7 out of 10 to be honest.
I've fished a lot with Ben, and he doesn't have a problem hooking them, but he definitely has a problem keeping them hooked.
Yeah.
on the shaky head, on some days on Jordan, like
Oh,
it would
yeah.
be like that, but I would say 7 out of 10.
So
Yeah.
I ain't gonna give the viewership any juice, but off the record, I'll show y'all a little tip. that
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I know I'm fishing against you all year and the fishermen, but hey, I'm all about helping people out, right?
Yeah.
It is. Terry Hobbs showed it to me, and I'm telling you, it 1000% helps hook up ratios on a shaky head.
Okay.
Like you'll be blown away when I
100%.
show you.
All right. We're not talking about trimming the screw lock down, are we?
No.
Okay.
It's funny, you talk about the different mentality and it really does get to that. Like everybody wants to win, but there's a certain set of circumstances that line up for you to win, right? Like you said, it wasn't your time at Amistad. It wasn't anybody's time at Gaston other than Mike and Nick. Everybody struggled at Lake Gaston our last tournament.
Yeah.
They caught like 60 fish. They were calling all day. The water wasn't even 60 degrees in the morning, and Mikey caught a 5.5 pounder on a buzzbait first thing in the morning. Like,
sorry, Mikey.
When it's meant, Mikey. When it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Mhm.
But
funny thing, I threw a buzzbait for like 40.
I threw it too.
I'm telling you, I told Josh Ballard, he's the owner of Deep Creek Lures. I said, dude, I'm about to throw a buzzbait for the first 45 minutes. If I get a bite,
it's going to be the
it's
right
gonna be the
one.
right one.
Yep.
Would you end up catching the 7?
I ain't gonna disclose on that bait. It was a new trick.
That's fair.
It will be coming out pretty soon.
Okay, prototypes.
That'll be after the show.
Yeah. No, but like you said, it's not your time. And that whole mentality, like, is it when you're fishing at the league, a check. When you're fishing for a living, a check, and points. Like points are super important because you want to fish the next championship. You can go out there and swing for the fences and hope to win a tournament and end up at the bottom of the field and you don't have anything going for you. So catching those 5 fish, slowing down, I'm not good at that. Trey's good at that. Trey's slowed me down a little bit.
My wife taught me that with a wacky worm.
Nice.
Schooled you out of back of
She'll catch fish after 15 casts and then catch another fish. And I'm like, I would have been 80, 100 yards down the bank after that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But with you rooming with Trent and Mike and Patrick, right?
Yeah, and Todd
and
at the championship.
And Todd Goad.
Mm-hmm.
You bring a lot of knowledge to the table. How much have you learned fishing with all these other anglers from different parts of the country or different regions within North Carolina?
Yeah.
Have you adopted a lot of different techniques because of them?
Yes. So, when you're on the tour and you got your travel partners, obviously during practice, you're sharing, a lot of information. You don't really share waypoints, but you share information.
Right.
Look, go look at this in a different area of the lake. That truly is a lot to do with it being consistent.
Mm-hmm.
When you got the knowledge that, just Patrick Walters, just sitting there talking, rigging beside him in a boat, just listening to him talk. That boy's got gills. I'm telling you, he has got gills. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just learn so much, and super phenomenal dude. His dad travels with him everywhere, and just having them in the house is really good.
Sure.
And you feed off of that. You really do. Like when you're on a hot streak, you're on it. You know what I mean? You fish confident. You're going to get bit, and that has a lot to do with it. So yeah, I've definitely learned a lot fishing, different areas of the country by just listening, not per se dock talk, because you know how dock talk.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
You don't know what to believe, but when you got a house that you trust, and you can share stuff, it really does.
What's a technique you just never really did or tried before in North Carolina that you are now, and you don't have to let the juice out, but like something you've learned and you're like, okay, this is a technique I really have as part of my arsenal now with all your partners and stuff like that, besides a jig head minnow?
No, I would probably say the sinking catch from Deep Creek Lures.
Okay.
When here in Raleigh, I hardly ever threw a Cinco, a stick bait. And since I've got out on tour, it's that mentality, hey, get 5 in the boat, and it puts fish in the boat all over the country. So, it's all about getting paid. It's all about getting paid. So I would say, until I fished with Terry Hobbs, he slowed me down a lot.
Yeah.
And that, I would say, has the biggest influence on my success, really. Just slowing down and fishing baits that, like I said earlier, everybody wants to win, but getting the checks, number one priority and getting points to go to the championship next year. That's guaranteed money. You make that.
What is your absolute worst place that you've been with the MPF? Not because of the MPFL, but just one of the worst places that you're like, man, this has been the biggest struggle bus of my career so far.
So the first year at Saginaw Bay.
Saginaw Bay.
And that was, I think I finished 94th in that event. There were 117 anglers.
Did you ever have experience up north prior to that?
I did not. Now, I went to Lake Champlain that same year, earlier in the year, and fished Toyota Series. Mm-hmm. So I was familiar with smallmouth fishing. That was the first year I ever done any smallmouth fishing. I went into Saginaw Bay, watched the videos on YouTube that you could watch, and them college boys is out there by the islands just wrecking smallmouth. I devoted like half my practice looking smallmouth, and Saginaw Bay is one of them places where it is a needle in a haystack. Once you find them, you can go back and look at the results. Mike, Trent, and Patrick, they've had very good success there. They have found several places that they get out in the abyss. Mm-hmm. And when you find it, it's good.
Yeah.
But that first year I was there, I didn't know the largemouth bite was as good as it was.
Right.
I'm telling you, it is the most fun I've ever had. Last year when we went, I've never had more fun largemouth fishing.
Yeah.
It is literally, you can name a bait and go throw it in the reeds.
It's stupid.
That entire 35-mile bay, 75% of it looks like Florida.
Yep.
And it's all like 2 foot and less.
And I'll tell you, coming from the north, it humbles you quickly.
Yes.
Coming down to the south, because it's so easy to catch. And I know, I hope I don't offend anybody, but it's easy to catch a bass.
Yep.
A largemouth bass in the northern waters.
It is.
You got the winter, the freeze over in certain areas, the lack of pressure. Now you got the electronics that are better than they've ever been before. You go out there and you don't even have to have the electronics turned on. You go throw in those cattails or hydrilla or whatever is up there. You just catch them.
Yep.
It's just easy, right?
It don't matter what bait you. Like, you can literally take all your old baits that you have hanging on the wall that you never fish with them and go up there and use them and catch them.
Yeah, we're talking jitterbugs and hula poppers, folks.
We've said it how many times that I feel like if you can catch a fish in North Carolina,
you can catch fish
especially our area of North Carolina, like you can go anywhere and catch fish in the country. It's super. I feel like it's really unique. Kind of the Raleigh, the Piedmont area with, Falls and Jordan, and now Harris without the hydrilla. They fish very different than a lot of places around the country, in my opinion.
And the pressure is so high too on these lakes because, I won't say the name, but there was one of our buddies who qualified to go fish the Toyota Series back. No, not Toyota. The
FLW, right?
No, it was already MLF, but whatever the
Invitational,
the Invitationals, right?
Or it was the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit,
whatever it was before. He's like, he's like, I can go in across the country and catch fish all day long. But here in North Carolina, it's like a struggle to get 5 or 6 bites sometimes on these lakes.
It definitely can be. It definitely. I don't know. Last year was the first time I ever zeroed in a tournament in my life. And it was the most humbling and disgusting experience I've ever had. And I've had some disgusting experiences, but I was sick to my stomach. And I was like, North Carolina got me, man. It got me that one time. You know what I mean? Yep. So I think you truly do build a lot of skills and capabilities in this state. That's why I asked you, like, what have you taken on trail?
Yeah.
That's really worked for you. Shaky head's going to work, man.
Yep.
Especially if you're struggling to catch a bass, you know what I mean? So, but as far as the league is concerned, you spent 3 seasons on the league, right? This is my third. This is your third one. Mm-hmm. What's your future look like for you? What's your goals and aspirations?
I don't see myself going anywhere. Yeah. I fell in love with NPFL, and I believe it's just going to continue to get better and better, and it's going to grow. Viewership's going to go up. Yeah. It has to. Yeah. You know what I mean? Now we got more bigger names. Got 9 or 10 Elite Series fishing with us. Mm-hmm. It's just getting bigger and bigger. So I truly see it. The Elite Series is the top. There's no doubt about it. Everybody wants to fish the Bass Masters Classic. But I'm telling you, NPFL is in its wheelhouse right there, coming in with it, because just the way the whole trail is run, the leadership, like I say again, it's a truly family friend organization about the anglers. And I don't see myself going anywhere. I love the NPFL, and I plan on sticking with them for a while, as long as I can find sponsors and have a, successful time at it. I'm going to be right there.
Yeah.
And aside from the elite series, names, which are great because it does bring eyes, because like you said, it is the kind of the pinnacle of the sport. The homegrown talent in the NPFL is absolutely ridiculous. Corvishley, yourself, Will Harkins, Luis Fernandez from the West Coast, Todd Goad, who's been around for a long time. I mean, I could go down a whole list. Timmy Reams, like the folks that are kind of born and bred in the league are absolutely 100% able to keep up with any of the elite series guys without a doubt. And then you get those extra eyes on there. Like it's been so exciting to watch that league grow and the anglers that are going and fishing it, and the anglers growing and getting better. And the coverage is incredible. We've talked about it a bunch. I'm glad you've been able to talk about it too. But if you haven't checked them out yet, folks, and you're listening, you need to check the NPFL out. Watch the event. You don't have to pay. I know everybody was paying it because they saw that the fixed TV deal. That's a whole free thing. You can pay if you want to, and it's really cool if you do, because then you can pick a camera. If they have a boat, if they have a camera in their boat, like Jesse has one with them one day, you can choose him and watch him for the entire day, whether he's catching them when he sits down to eat his lunch, whatever it is, you get to watch that angler. So it's really kind of a cool experience there. But they have really good coverage, and it struggled a little bit in the championship nature of being in a canyon, and out there kind of in the middle of nowhere. But I still thought they did really good, giving the circumstances they had. Coverage was in and out. When they didn't have it, they were able to go to Fat Cat and Luke, who do a good job in the studio, keeping things going and talking about stuff. And there's going to be some more big names coming, I have a feeling, next year with goings on around the industry that'll help bring more eyes to y'all.
It's just going to keep growing. I'm telling you, the viewership's definitely going to rise. For
you, coming from North Carolina, obviously you got Deep Creek on your jersey right now. Deep Creek Lure is a huge company here in North Carolina. And they put out a great product. I can tell you that. I may or may not have caught a bunch of fish yesterday on their product. Thank you, Nick Kincaid. But what has that done for you with your sponsors, and now being part of the NPFL, your third season? How has that platform been extremely beneficial for you and your sponsorships?
Yeah, I think so. Deep Creek came on board this year as my title sponsor. Josh Ballard over there at Deep Creek, I'm telling you, they're going places with that company. They've started growing it. Our pro staff, we've got a handful of guys. I'm telling you, everybody's like, they're your brothers.
Yep.
And it's right there in my backyard. You know what I mean? I mean, it's 3 miles from the house. So if I need something, I can go over there and see Josh and pick it up. He's always calling me, "Hey man, what do you need? What do you need for this tournament? What do you need for that tournament?" I mean, he keeps me in stock of what I need, And, this year I'm super excited. So he come to me earlier in the year and was like, "Look, we need to design a bait. What kind of bait do you want to be yours with the company?" So we put our heads together and we started designing, a flipping bait. That's probably my absolute favorite way to catch them.
We were going to get into that. Keep going.
Okay. So we got this new bait that's going to come out, and we're still trying to come up with a name, but I think the name of it's going to be the Wise Whacker. And it's just a little bitty crawl bug, like you flip with. And we're doing some tweaks to it right now. The first mold that we got, few things we're tweaking on, but I'm telling you, that bait catches them.
Yeah.
And I'm super excited to, get the production mold so we can start getting it out to the public. Because I'm telling you, you can flip with it, you can reel it through the water column, you can swim it like a swim jig. I mean, it's got some incredible action to it. So really excited about that. As far as being in the league, and sponsorship, I can't even go into depth at how good my sponsors are. A lot of my sponsorship is friends that own businesses that want to help you out. Yep. Brian Benish Home Services. I do a lot of work for him. I do a lot of tile work for him up in the Raleigh area. He's become like my best friend up in the Raleigh, and just him helping out. I mean, you just can't fathom, the kind of deal that really brings into a life.
Yep.
And I mean, L&L Home Solution, dude, I'm telling you, I get emotional thinking about it because of the friends that you've made over the years in the fishing community. All these guys fish to fishers men.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's like, it's truly humbling knowing what people do to help somebody out when they're chasing a dream.
Absolutely.
It really is.
Yeah.
And being able to be on the platform that I am with NPFL, and I can, I'm hoping these companies do benefit. Done Outdoors, I wear their hat every fishing tournament. I mean, it's locally owned hunting and fishing store there in Dunn, North Carolina. I mean, phenomenal people, phenomenal family-run organization. So I try everything I can to push social media, to get people to go there. And matter of fact, I sent there somebody there, I believe it was yesterday. He texted me like, "Hey man, I went and got one of them ground blinds, one of them turkey ground blinds from Dunn Outdoors, one of the ones you see through,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Them things are bad.
Yeah.
If you turkey hunt, you need one of them. I'm telling you, you got to Dunn Outdoors. They got them. So just sponsorship purposes, being on tour, can't ask for no better. Really, I mean, it's truly phenomenal.
Yeah, we've talked about it numerous times. We talk about going to fishing shows. You work a lot of the fishing shows. Some people look at it as a burden. Other people need to take more of an optimistic approach to it. Look at it as an opportunity. It's a great networking capability. You get out there, you meet people, you talk to vendors, you talk to professionals, all that stuff. Putting a face behind the brand.
Yes.
Is probably one of the most important things. The companies can use it as a marketing write-off. From the business perspective, you can write it off as a marketing deal. But if you can't put words and a face behind the product, a lot of times it doesn't mean anything. You can see the billboards when you drive down the highway. You can see the ads come across Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff. But we truly do have a sport that the people matter. And I think people matter in all the sports, right? Yeah. So that's an important message to get across, because when we had Hal Abshire on, and Hal's a local guy, right? Yep. He talked about the modern day business handshake going from this to this, the handout, right? Mm-hmm. And so that handout methodology that a lot of people think is going to get them sponsorships and stuff, you couldn't be further from the truth. If somebody believes in what you're doing, believes in the character that you have, the morals, the ethics, and all that stuff, that's really what's going to carry those relationships into business sponsorships and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, they're just friendships. You know what I mean? So, but outside of fishing the NPFL and beating our butts in the Fishers of Men, I keep rubbing that in because I didn't catch a single keeper fish in Gaston, but it's my fault, 100% my fault. Outside of working for your sponsors, fishing the NPFL, fishing the Fishers of Men, what do you do? Are you just hitting as many local tournament trails as you possibly can to keep yourself sharp and ready to move on to the next NPFL event? Or
so this year, very fortunate that the way the NPFL season and schedule worked out, we got a big break from almost started at the beginning of March.
Yep.
Our next event's not till Hartwell, the third week of May. So a lot of these local tournaments, on the weekend, I get to, fish. And the last 2 years I've had to, I'd fish a couple, I couldn't do a whole season or anything like that. So it really does help when you can stay on the water and you stay out there and you keep, stay up with the bass. I mean, it truly does play a huge role when you can still get after it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It keeps you in tune with them, keeps you knowing what stage they're in, this and that, know what to look for. So,
but the NPFL, and we've talked about it numerous times, they run their tournaments very spread out through the year. And I think your last tournament ends in October?
Yep.
So are you, and we talked to Hunter Bogman about this. It was really funny because he's like, I'm never fishing through the winter again. Like he tried it one time and he was like, it burned me out. Do you do that? Are you, okay, as soon as hunting season starts, deer season we're talking about, do you just take that time off, or are you still on the water during the entire time?
No, I'm definitely not on the water.
No, not on the water.
No.
I think it's important, man.
Yeah.
Soon as the last NPFL tournament
gone.
It's time to put that Hoyt bow in my hand and go to work.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm an avid bow hunter. Love it. North Carolina, we've seen since they went to the 2-buck rule, we've seen, bucks getting to grow here in North Carolina. So we got some dandies, with cell cameras, I was very fortunate this year. Our last event was, actually, I killed one of my bucks on opening weekend. I had one that I was dialed into, and I knew I was going to get a shot. I just had to make a good shot, and the good Lord blessed me, and I made a good shot.
Yep.
But when the rut happened, a new buck showed up, and dude, I got after him. I'm like, I got to get this buck on the ground, and the good Lord bless me, and I got him on the ground, you know. But as soon as that last tournament, yeah, I'm definitely chasing them on whitetails.
I did it this year. I put the boat away after the November event with the Soba, and I didn't look at it again until like third week of February or something.
Yeah.
And it was very, very refreshing.
So last year, funny story. Patrick, he's a huge whitetail hunter, as well, right? So he's the same way. Like, as soon as fishing's done, he's all about, you know, putting that bow in his hand or that rifle and killing some of them South Carolina whitetails. Lake Eufaula, Oklahoma, the house we rented up there, it was up this hillside. You had to drive up like a 3-mile dirt road, right? I mean, it was like the boondocks. And the first night when we were pulling up to the Airbnb, I'm telling y'all, I seen a 150 8-pointer. It was the biggest 8 I've ever seen with my eyes in the wild. And I told Patrick about this, and we ended up seeing like 7 or 8 bucks. Patrick was thinking about, look, bow season comes in. We might, on our off day, we might go sneak in the woods over here and go try to. He was thinking about going and buying a bow in Oklahoma and an Oklahoma license just so we could hunt on our off day. But yeah, I mean, I'm all about hunting. So as soon as fishing's done, it's definitely done.
You said, Patrick, you can't take forward-facing sonar out there and hunt.
Oh man, doing our boy Patrick dirty.
Patrick is he's one of the best anglers. I believe one of the best bass anglers on the face of the planet right now, hands down. The guy's just got, his brain works differently. You know, we had Will Harkins on, his brain works differently. But you got a ton of hammers on the NPFL. We said the same thing. Like, I think the NPFL in its inception, it was like right place, right time.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked to Matty Wong about this, like his background coming into the industry. You know, there's a lot of tragedy, but it creates opportunities.
Yep.
Right. And so we're seeing that right now. And I think you're right. I think the NPFL is definitely here to stay, but I think it's here to make a lot more waves, good waves in the fishing
it's
industry,
definitely
right?
growing.
Definitely growing. And I meant to ask you that, and then I'll get off my soapbox here. But, you know, with the introduction of the guys that came from the elites, you know, Kyle Welcher, Buddy Gross, guys that came from BPT, Zach Burge, I can't remember who else. I'm drawing a blank
I think
here.
Zach was the only one that came from BPT.
Oh, okay. So
John Cox fishes the BPT.
Oh yeah, yep. John Cox from Florida. Yeah. So with those guys, what was the welcome party like with them, and has it changed the dynamic at all on the NPFL?
I don't think it really changed anything for as the dynamic far as all the fishermen's concerned. I mean, we're super excited to get them. Hey, it's good for the business, good for the sport.
100%.
You know, the more viewership, you know, them guys has been very successful in the Elite Series. Hey, they got the viewership, social media present.
Yep.
You know, if we could get somebody like Gerald Swindle, how many followers does he have? I mean,
7 billion.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's it really is truly gonna grow the sport with them guys coming in. Just the atmosphere with them, you know, being at the first pre-meeting, you know, at Logan Martin earlier this year, you know, I'm like, dang, there's Buddy Gross, there's Kyle Welcher, you know. I've watched him on TV for the last 4 years, you know. It's pretty cool, you know. Now I get to fish against him, you know, and I love it. Like,
now he's watching you on TV.
Yeah,
catch a 10-9 out of Amistad. Just saying.
Yeah, that was pretty epic.
That was epic.
You know,
I might have had to come apart just a little bit.
Yeah, go watch that video if you haven't. It's actually,
I might have been.
If you're not like
him just a little bit,
it wasn't too bad.
You said that's a 12-pounder.
Nah, that's 11. No,
Oh, yeah.
it's my PB. It's a 12. Oh my god.
Was it your PB?
No, actually, I caught 11.5 out of Jordan Lake.
I'm just sick to my stomach right now. I'm just kidding. If you want to catch them in the Piedmont region, ladies and gentlemen, go to
Falls.
Lake.
Yeah.
We're gonna grow this culture of anglers. Go to Jordan
Go to
Lake,
Jordan.
and Jesse will send you all his waypoints.
Yeah, for a small fee. No, but it's funny you said that. Like, so some of the backlash we heard second year of the league from people on the outside looking in were like they let John Cox in, they let a few other folks in initially. And they were like, I thought this was the working man's league. Why do you have these blah, blah, blah? And then you talk to anglers and they're like, that's just somebody who I can fish against. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
I've said it before. Like, when I go fish a tournament, if Jesse shows up in his rat boat, or if Gerald Swindle shows up in his boat and I beat that dude, nobody's ever going to hear the end of it. Like, yeah, well, I beat Gerald Swindle.
Yep.
I don't care if it's a Tuesday nighter with 7 boats. If I beat him,
you'll take a screenshot of the tournament results and have that pinned on all your social media.
Everybody will know for the rest of my life. Like I beat, and it really like if you truly are in it for the competition, right? And like getting better, the only way to get better is to fish against people who are better. Because if you're not pushing yourself to get better, if you're not pushing yourself to learn, if you're not pushing yourself to improve, if you're not pushing yourself to realize I need to catch 5 fish and not always swing for the fence in the wind, make sure I get 5 so I get those points, put me in line for a check, you're never going to advance yourself as an angler. If you're just doing the same, it's great to go out and throw a wacky rig around and catch 14 inches all day. If you're not pushing yourself to try something different, to get better, to do different things, then you just kind of become stale, right? So like for me, and Jesse has that same mentality. I know Trey does. We've talked about it. I'm sure Ben does. Like I want to fish against those people that are better because it's a true measure. And we talked about it going into the Fishers of Men. We're like, we're going to fish it this year. And so there's some hammers that fish it. Local guys that have a lot of experience, do really well. Yourself, Corbishley, I know, jumping a few. Seth Ellis fishes them. You've got Clay Osley and Ken McNeil who are well known in the area. Like folks who are well known, and we know it pushes us to do better. And when you look at the tournament results and where you end up, and you're like, hey, you know, I feel like you measure up to those guys a little bit, and it pushes you to do better, make better decisions, and grow as an angler, not just in the tournament sense, but as an angler all around.
You know, I'll throw this little plug in there too for the Fishers, man. It's one of the trails that it don't matter if you're a pro or not, you can fish.
100%.
You know what I mean? There's trails out there. You hear people griping and talking about, why are you letting the pros come in and fish? Why are you dude, I want to beat the best.
Yep.
I mean, it's the only way, just like you said, it's the only way you're going to get better. And that's why I like the Fishers Men. You know, they allow, I mean, Kevin Van Dam can come fish Fishers Men if he wanted to.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And they would welcome him, arms wide open.
Yep.
And at the local level, that's one thing that chops my butt. You know, there's several, you know, like the ABA right here at local level, Hilton Glover.
Yep.
I fished all them tournaments, you know, 3 years ago. Now I can't. It's like, dude, that's a good group of guys. I just enjoyed going out and competing against them, and now I can't.
It's because of the entry fees.
Yes. If you have an entry fee more than I think 5,000 in the last 6 months.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
You know,
I forgot they had that.
Yeah, I actually have an opinion on that. I think it's actually and you can crush me if you want, send me a DM, but I think it's a bad idea. I think it's a bad idea not to let people that fish at the national level in those events, because it's going to bring more attention to the event. Right?
There's clubs like that too.
Well, so I think because Hilton was in my club when I used to fish at Bragg, I think at one point in the bylaws, it was like if you had over a $1,700 entry fee or something, you couldn't fish. So we had a couple guys go for a couple years to go fish the Opens. And so that they obviously didn't fish a club for a couple of years and all. And that's just, I mean, that goes way back to whenever the club was established, like in the 70s. And maybe there's a time and place for that, but like the ABA and Fishers and Men, like they're the larger, they're not, I guess I'm saying it's not like 20 dudes going to meet at a restaurant every week or every other week, or just trying to get together. So I don't know.
Yeah. You know? I mean, if you're a big affiliated, you know, regional organization like the Piedmonts, you know, Collins, Five Alive, you know, Fishers Men, all that stuff. Cat. Yeah. They all have sponsorship deals.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of the sponsorship deals are with the companies that sponsor Jesse, with the companies that sponsor Seth, Mike, all these people, right? Maybe me.
That's a great point. Sponsored.
But think about that, right? Like the visibility and how you can amplify the message for that company at whatever level you're fishing. I just think it's a missed opportunity, but you keep your bylaws the way you want to keep your bylaws. I'm just throwing that out there. So, but let me ask you this final question. You love to flip.
Mm-hmm.
What do you hate to do?
Your least favorite.
What is your least favorite? Don't say wacky worm.
No, I've
Ned rig.
I've grew. No, you go up north, you got to have a Ned rig. That's fun with those mama. Ned rig catches them.
Pete's dad's laughing, folks. He's over there just laughing.
I'm
in a Pittsburgh accent.
The old turd worm catches them up.
Yes, it does.
What is my least favorite way to catch them?
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably gonna get blasted from a lot of people for saying this, but a Carolina rig. I hate it.
I can get down on that.
Yes.
I hate it.
I mean,
I can't disagree.
I agree.
That is my absolute worst. And there's times in North Carolina where you got to throw it.
Yeah, like on the road beds on Jordan.
I mean, well, I wouldn't say that.
Well, it's
I wouldn't say that.
like it's so hard for me to tie one on because like in that scenario, I'd much rather just drag a jig along and try to get on that jig bite. And some days or a shaky head, right? Because lakes around in the summertime is always jig, shaky head, and it takes me a lot to break down and go tie on that ball and chain.
Yeah, but you got the older generation that sits in the back of the boat that smokes a cigarette, and as they're pulling it, and then they'll take a puff and they pull it. They're throwing a Carolina rig in 2 foot of water in front of the grass, and they will whack them.
Yes, they will.
Dude, I've got my teeth kicked in by dudes on the Roanoke River throwing a dang Carolina rig in front of the pads and will absolutely demolish.
I got kicking the show on like that one time in front of the pads.
Is it because the time it takes to rig it? Is it because the way you got to fish it? Is it because how slow it is? Like, what is it about
just probably the slowness? Like I was saying earlier, Terry slowed me down a lot. That's probably been my nemesis, is fishing too fast, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a power fisherman at heart. Like, I'm burning it down.
Yeah.
I mean, the pollen can't even come in behind the boat when it's floating because it's just spreads it. I mean, I'm really burning it down.
You don't even need no dish soap.
I like it.
It's just so slow, but
do you think
certain times of the year
do you think it could have helped you on any of the NPFL tournaments?
I don't even know if I've actually physically threw a Carolina rig in 2.5 years on the NPFL.
So now that is the challenge. Everyone heard it. Jesse,
I don't think I have. I swear I don't.
Jesse,
I've had it rigged. I've had it rigged, but I don't believe I've ever threw it.
Man, not even for big smallmouth.
No.
Wow. You know what? I don't even have one rigged up, so I can't even talk trash.
No, either.
I had one rigged up. Remember, I got smacked on it last year on Harris, and I didn't connect with them. It just.
I had a goal last year to throw the Carolina rig more, and the first day on Harris, we got on a school. I threw it once, caught a fish, and I put it back in the rod box. Never took it out again.
So I made a promise to all of our listeners that I would throw a bladed jig this year and catch fish. Gosh. I can't stand throwing a chatterbait. Right.
Wow.
And I threw it on Gaston. I caught him. Right. But I just
not in the tournament. He didn't.
I caught
during practice.
I caught one in the tournament. It was a solid 8 inches. But we don't have a lot of grass in our lakes here. That in North Carolina, right? Like if Harris still had hydrilla, or I fish Gaston all the time, or I fish Tillery all the time, sure, it'd probably be a bait of choice for me. And I know you can catch them on other lakes with it, specifically the one that rhymes with Jordan. But it's just something that like my mind is so triggered to picking up a spinnerbait.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
It's tried and true. Anywhere in the country.
I tell you what, but there are times, and we saw that during the last Derby, they wouldn't touch it.
No.
And it must have been.
They ate the chatterbug up there at Gaston. They didn't eat the spinnerbait.
No, they did not.
Chatterbait.
And I kept them honest with it. But
how good are you at skipping?
I can skip.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that was a big key. I feel like if you could have skipped a spinnerbait where you can skip a chatterbait, you might would have got some bites on it.
Yeah, I don't think I can skip a spinnerbait at all. I can't do it.
But that's what I'm saying. I think if you could have got a spinnerbait to where them fish, see, the water was so high the entire time we were there. I mean, you had dogs that only had like 2 inches.
Yep.
And there's no way to even get a spinnerbait under there.
No.
I mean, I've caught fish under dogs.
And our bite,
that's when you could actually throw under them.
Yeah. Our bite was in the grass. Like we found they just the spinnerbait just doesn't come through that stuff like
it almost seems like
chatterbait. I can get it hung and pop it, and as soon as I pop it, they would smack it.
Yeah.
Like they're supposed to.
Yep.
So it makes sense skipping under docks, that type of thing. I'm gonna get Trey. Trey will get dialed in on her because I've whacked them on, like you said, Jordan. There's days they wouldn't eat a spinnerbait, but I'll pick that chatterbait up and bang it off logs and stumps and fish it like a dang square bill, and they just freaking demolish it.
So at Gaston on Saturday, my fishing partner Josh Ballard, who owns Deep Creek Lures, he's never caught a fish on a chatterbait till Saturday during the tournament.
Nuh-uh. That's awesome.
Yeah, he caught 4 that day.
Dang.
And I didn't really throw it because I told him, I says, look, I'm throwing this bait. This is what catches big fish, I know.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna keep this bait in my hand pretty much the rest of the day. And I threw that particular bait for 6.5 hours.
What was that bait again?
I'll tell you off air. It's this new thing that is coming out.
Yeah.
But
It definitely
He-
catches fish.
He threw the chatterbait pretty much 90% of the day and ended up catching 4. And that first fish, he was like, "You won't believe this, Jesse, but this is the first chatterbait fish I've ever caught." I was like, what rock did you call out?
It's been really
Let-
fun talking
Dude.
about the Fishers of Men and like what a great organization is. I think that's a cool thing. Like Josh caught his first chatterbait fish in a tournament. Trey talked to a guy.
Yeah. So at Carr or Bugs Island or Kerr, however you want to refer it, coming back into Pete was getting the trailer and I was talking to a guy and I met him that day. Runs a really unique color on his Phoenix, really cool looking boat. And we were just talking before Pete dumped the trailer and I said, "Oh, how'd y'all do?" And he goes, "You know what?" He said, "We did good because my fishing partner that's been fishing with me for the last 3-4 years had never caught a keeper fish on Carr in a Fisher's Men tournament, and he did that time." And I was like, "Man, see, that is literally hunting the good stuff."
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
And just saying, and the same thing for me. I've only fished Carr like twice. We just found something super special, and we just went to work, and it was a plan that worked out. So, Pete goes back to it, but like Fishers Men, NPFL, it doesn't matter where you fish. There's always those good news stories that come out of that deal. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So, and that's why we like the NPFL so much. I mean, I give Brad crap for being Air Force, but he'll hear this and probably text me, but he keeps a good line on the NPFL. They run a really great trail. It's very family friendly oriented. And to be brutally honest with you, I give those guys all the thanks in the world because we got to spend days with you guys on Lake Lanier and get behind the scenes. And they're just all open to everyone seeing everything going on. And I can't appreciate it.
Y'all should come out and ride with me one day during the Derby.
Absolutely. We didn't even know it was a possibility until we were down Lake Lanier, and then we signed waivers, and we just went along as media, and it was a great time. And Pete had a great experience with Hunter Bogman.
That's the third week of May, though, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Take a Warrior Fishing one.
Yeah. Yeah. We were talking about maybe coming down to
St. John's.
St. John's in October.
Okay.
Yeah.
For
That should be an interesting one.
No,
So-
not in October, September.
September. Yeah.
October, we're going to be at Lake of the Ozarks.
Yeah. So we talked about because it's a different time of year to be there, and
My
It's
neck.
going to be interesting.
and they're putting it in a very different area from where anybody else puts in. So
D-Land, Florida.
Yeah, so-
where's that?
The land.
yeah, exactly.
The land.
Where? Who?
Yeah.
Dealing? So before we wrap it up, though, we haven't talked about this. So you fish Logan Martin. How'd that event go for you?
That event was
stop number one.
Yeah, stop number one for the third year. For my third season on tour. I was chomping at the bit. I was, hands down. I knew I was going to go out and absolutely wreck them. I thought I was going to get a top 10. There was no way I was not going to get top 10. Fishing is very humbling.
Yeah.
And now looking at the coverage, I went back and watched the coverage. I'm like, dude, I've done the exact same thing. What happened was I got in a bad rotation, I feel like. There was several people that had caught big fish under docks where I was fishing. I mean, hands down, they just beat me to them. Didn't know. I'd pull up there and fish them, and I'd catch a 2-pounder because the 4-pounder was already gone.
Yeah.
That kind of deal. Caught plenty of fish. Fishing dirt shallow, skipping a chatterbait, slam under them docks. And I'm telling you, you had to hit the dirt with it. And it was the first 3 cranks. Just like that. Every single time is when you got bit on a chatterbait. And I was chomping at the bit during practice. I'm like, dude, I'm about to wreck them. I could catch them any way I wanted to during practice. Come tournament time, I just got a bad rotation, I feel like.
Yeah.
I think I finished mid-60s. So that put some fire under me because now looking back, I've got 5 tournaments left. I've got to gain points, It's all about making that championship,
Right.
And I got to hold a dig. I got to come out of this hole.
Yep.
So,
And we talked about Amistad. So, but the official stop number 2 is Hartwell, right?
Lake Hartwell.
So 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Which one are you most looking forward to, and which one you said Saginaw Bay is like your favorite place to fish, right? But
yeah, I would say I'm looking forward to Hartwell for
Yeah.
sure. Putting some time in down there, it's going to be a good event. It's going to
Sure.
be fun. I'm excited about it. But I would say the one I'm looking forward to the most now is probably Saginaw Bay.
Yeah.
Because that's just, it's so much fun to go up
Yeah.
there, and when you can catch 100 fish a day,
It don't matter where
and
you're
literally
at.
you can go back to the same area tomorrow and catch some same fish again.
I know it's ridiculous.
Like I had this past year, not getting on a soapbox, but this past year I would power pole down in front of a reed head that was probably about the size of this room, and I caught 9 bass out of that one reed head. Power pole down, nosed up. You could drop the bait and just get it to go down there. Like it is so crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and now after 2 years on that place, I feel like I don't have to go practicing for the largemouth. One thing that I learned from the first year to the second year, the first year where I caught largemouth, I went back to the check the second year and I wouldn't catch none, but they're within 400 or 500 yards there.
Yeah.
You just got to find them.
Yeah.
It's just like summertime. You know,
Sure.
you got schools, you might go 200 yards and not get a bite, and then all of a sudden you catch 30.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like I don't have to practice for largemouth. I can just
Catch them.
put the trolling motor down and catch them during the derby. So I'm going to win, depending on the wind and weather. You know, I'm got to go out there and find them smallmouth because that's definitely where you're going to get your top 5.
Yeah.
Are there any lakes along the stops for the rest of the season that you've never been to before?
I've never been to the St. John's. I've never been to the Lake of Ozarks. And
It's my neck of the woods.
You got Pickwick, right?
yes, I've been to Pickwick. Got 7th on Pickwick last year
Okay.
when Perkins.
Yeah.
That was a fun deal. Catching fish in the current.
Yeah.
Big old swim bait, catching them smallmouth. That was epic. It was fun.
Swim bait.
I watched
return.
Timothy Reams day 3. I pulled up to the current scene. He pulled up right behind me. He was throwing 10 foot to the right of my motor. We were all spot locked. There was like 9 boats spot locked on this current scene. He picked the perfect one, dude. I'm telling you, he caught 24 pounds of smallmouth out under my motor. I watched it go down. I mean, I had, what was it, 16 or 17 pounds on
Yeah,
the scene I
still,
was in.
yeah.
But I watched him absolutely put on a clinic.
Yeah.
That was fun to watch.
How
Like
time-
I was cheering him on, like, dude, you're wrecking him. I was like,
Did you cast
I said-
backwards?
he don't work. He says, man, throw in there if you want to. I mean, he was super nice. And I was like, I mean, it don't matter. I
Yeah.
can't throw and bring it up current.
Yeah.
It's just not how that works.
Yeah.
Shake,
So-
shake your head.
I told him, I hollered out, I said, if you decide to leave, let me know. I'm coming off.
I'm
spotlight."
She gonna drift back.
Sliding back just a little bit. He
It's
says, "I'm not leaving."
crazy. That's crazy. Yeah. I know a lot of people were skeptical about Pickwick this year because of the time of year.
It is. It's going to be a difficult time.
It's going to be difficult,
think.
but you think electronics are going to play a huge role in it?
Yeah, hands down.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Scoping's the deal.
What I don't
Or
even know.
side scan.
Yeah, I don't even know if the scoping will be the deal that time of year, but what the scope does is allows you to see them on the schools better. But them fish are just so pressured by the middle of July.
Yeah.
I mean, they've seen every bait in the kitchen sink.
So you got to find something from Deep
Yeah.
Creek that ain't seen yet.
Well, we got a couple tricks up the sleeve this year that
Yeah.
we're going to try to pull out on them.
And full disclosure, Jesse's on a no information rule on all the lakes, right?
Yes,
because your
absolutely.
tournament schedule has been published. So not that I have any knowledge of it, but he has to be very careful what he talks about because this is going to be aired. So I had to throw that out there. So
Yep.
Yeah, man. Ben, Pete, what do you guys got?
Man, I think you nailed all the
Yeah,
questions I had.
I know, I do it
It's been a
every time.
fun one.
This has been great.
Yeah, man.
Jesse, what is your message for the youth? Because now there's so many avenues for the youth to move into the fish industry, from the high school to the collegiate level, to the opens, to the Toyota series, to BFL, you name it, right? There's so many different avenues that we didn't have when we were kids. And in fact, Pete talked about it earlier, Warriors on the Water is what got me into this, right? What is your message for the young anglers trying to get into the game? And what most important piece of advice you can give them?
The 3 F's and not forward facing. The 3 F's: family, faith, and fishing.
There you go.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's kind of cliche you say it, because this Sunday after church, I'm taking a youth group to a pond. They got like 7 or 8 kids that want to go out fishing. Sunday, when I got back from Amistad, the preacher made a big ordeal about it, and says, hey, we got a professional fisherman. He's caught the biggest fish in NPFL history, and everybody clapped in church, makes you feel good and everything. Well, that kind of got the fire under some of them kids, and they started coming up with a youth group leader. She asked me, like, is there any way that we could get the kids out fishing? I was like, absolutely. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And I love getting the kids out into the outdoors, whether it be fishing or hunting. You know, I take a lot of kids hunting too. You know, it's faith, family, fish. That's been my mentality. You know, the good Lord has blessed me over the years, and kids, get you some faith, trust in God, go to church, keep your nose clean.
Yep.
Love your family, appreciate everything they do for you, and just get out and go fishing.
Go catch a fish.
Absolutely.
Let me share an anecdote real quick before we wrap this up. You know, coming from the Fishers of Men, it's, you know, after the tournament on Saturday, and I'm not going to say names. It's not important, but I will tell you this. I spent that night, Pete knows about this. I talked to him on the phone. I spent that night with somebody that is absolutely indulged in fishing, part of the organization. And I just wanted to let everyone know, and we talk about it all the time. Mike Johns talks about it with FX3 Inc. We talk about it with Heroes Harvest, but there is nothing more important than your life and your family's life on this face of the earth. I spent hours with somebody who having suicidal ideations. It's not worth anything to take your own life. And so family, faith, and fishing can help you heal from whatever wounds, whatever scar tissue you have out there. And if it's not fishing, it could be something else. You know, it could be anything that you find peace and serenity in. And I just had to say that because this community of anglers, you know, that ordeal at Lake Gaston, and after the fact, like, had that Lake Gaston tournament not happened, that person could have been not on the face of this planet anymore. And I just want to let everyone know that the message out there is like, you're not alone. You can call any of us. You can DM us. We've put our numbers online for you.
Out there for
you can absolutely reach out. And faith, family, and fishing, it's a great message to push out there to everybody. There's a lot of scar tissue, but we're all here for one another. Jesse, I want to thank you so much for coming all the way down here to our little neck of the woods. Ben, Pete, any final closing comments?
Yeah, the only thing I got is to that person Trey's talking about, man, we love you, bro. Like, we're here for you no matter what. Like, holler at us. We know you're a fan of the show too, been a supporter, so reach out, man, and whatever we can do, you know, we got your six, and we'll get out there in the water and chase them around. Yeah. But that's all I got, man. Jesse, you want to take a minute here and plug your socials, let people know where they can find you and follow you, and then all of your sponsors, make sure you give them their time, because we all know that you couldn't do it without them.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, my main social media account is Jesse Z Wise Pro Fishing on Facebook. You know, look me up, give me a follow, give me a like. Do a lot of different videos on there. And, you know, as far as my sponsors go, I mean, there's no way possible that you could do what I do without them. You know, go down the list and hope not forget none. But you got Deep Creek Lures, phenomenal company. You got Benish Home Services. You got L&L Home Solution. You got Dunn Outdoors. You got, Kim's Barbecue. You got Dante's Italiano. You got, that's a Italian restaurant up in Raleigh. If you're in the Raleigh area, look them up. You will not be, you know,
disappointed.
Yeah. I mean, great place. The Butcher Stable. It's kind of cliche that I got 3 restaurants. You can kind of look at me and tell that I like
and
it.
He didn't bring no food with him.
I like
it. I could have eaten some Kim's barbecue.
You got the Butcher Stable. You got Norse Landscaping. Let's see. I know I'm getting some. Catch Outdoors, Kelly Barefoot, JB Custom Rods. Best rods on the market, hands down. I love them. Jeremy Reed done a phenomenal job taking that company over. Let's see. We got Matthew Melvin's Roofing. Dude, he's become one of my good friends there in Irwin, and we started playing golf together and took him fishing a couple times. And if you need your roof done in the Harnett County area, look him up. I mean, he's a phenomenal dude. Let's see. I know I'm missing
wife and kids.
Well, that was going to be last.
Okay.
They were, yeah, I don't never forget.
Hands down.
Yeah. Oh, man. I know I'm missing one or two.
That's okay.
You got to make a note in your
man. I love every single one.
I'm gonna get you a quarterback sleeve.
Hey,
that's right.
And who I missed, they're probably gonna call me tomorrow and be like, "Yo, bro,
won't hear it till next.
Get it to us afterwards.
You know,
we'll still get it down there.
The biggest thing in my life is faith and family. You know, my wife. I could not do it without Catherine. She is my rock. She's the one who has pushed me to get after it. You know, chase your dreams.
That's right.
And you know, with her mom and dad being, you know, just a few miles down the road, my mom and dad only being 15 minutes down the road, it really does help. when I'm out of town for a week at a time.
Mhm.
And my 2 kids, man, John Russell and Allison, they're growing up to be, great little kids. My son's a big golfer now, and I've been spending a lot of time with him on the golf course. And my daughter's into gymnastics, which is kind of scary because I see broke arms and
Oh, yes,
in the
sir.
future.
Yes,
And
sir.
she is fearless when I tell you. And I just love every single one of them and couldn't do it without them.
Absolutely, man. We appreciate you driving all the way down here from Irwin. I said done earlier, right?
Yeah.
We appreciate you driving all the way down here. We think your message to the youth, faith, family fishing is very important. NPFL Pro, Fishers and Men Pro. I'm going to throw that out there, baby. Appreciate you coming down here, Jesse. You are truly an angler that helps us continuing to grow a culture of anglers, helping anglers one cast at a time.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.